Oh my God, like, are you broke like me? I've always wanted to travel abroad, but I never seem to have the money for it. That's when I discovered the CBP Home app. All you do is enter in the country you want to visit. Today, I am a Mexican. After you press send, some nice people will show up to take you to the airport. Hola, amigos. Cancun, here I come.
Congressman, welcome back to the program. So much to talk about today.
Yeah.
You are on foreign affairs, so
Right.
This is a very fun foreign affair to talk about. So the CBP One app has now been turned into a deportation app. Great job,
Yeah,
administration.
great job. Mark this up in the category of I woke up today to yet one more great thing that I didn't have the day before because Donald Trump is the president. The CBP One app was set up by the Biden administration to facilitate the illegal entry of foreign nationals into our country. And the president has turned it into what is effectively their their methodology to the doorstep back to where they came from. And more so than that, with the moniker, if, and the proviso that if you don't self-deport and we have to do it, you can never come back. And also, let this also be known, that government provided cell phone that your CBP One app is on, yeah, we're using that to find you as well. So as long as you hang on to that and call some drug dealer in Mexico or some human trafficker that you're working with, we're going to use that to find you and deport you and probably go find them and arrest them.
Yeah, I mean, that does kind of cut both ways. So if you have that app on your phone, you clearly there's no other reason to download that app other than you probably came here illegally through that program. So there's a really great, you're walking around with a tracking device.
Yeah, that's you are walking around with a tracking device. And look, as Americans, many of us who have been persecuted or prosecuted by the federal government, as true citizens born here and bona fide in the United States, we're frustrated that the federal government has turned its power, its awesome power on us. It's about time that the federal government is working for us and against people that came here illegally, under the provisions of coming illegally. They knew they were doing it. They knew they were breaking the law. But since they had the CPV One app, they somehow thought that they were justified because Joe Biden said it's okay to break the law as long as I say so. It's wonderful that we're taking this Americans first, America first approach to immigration.
So dovetailing into this and into then our next topic that I want to cover, which is BLM and BLM Plaza in Washington, D.C. There was a agitator. There was a criminal protester that was at Columbia University. Apparently, he was here as a guest on a visa program. Now he's being deported.
Right.
It was one of the Hamas protesters. Your take on that?
Well, coming to this country to go to school or to visit is a privilege. It is not a right. We don't invite you to come and then protest against our country and disrupt things, create chaos, hold up traffic, make things unsafe. You're not invited to come here and do that. We have free speech in this country, but you are here as a favor. And so if you're going to do those kind of things, well, you can go back and stay in the country that probably you came from that already hates us. We don't have to invite you here to hate us. You can hate us from afar and not disrupt traffic and make things unsafe for us here.
I think Elon Musk said it best this weekend. You can hate us for free.
Yeah,
it's great. It's free to hate us. Have a great time.
Just do it from over there. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to do it on our streets.
That's exactly right. Speaking of streets, BLM Plaza is being now deconstructed based on apparently orders or threats from the Republican majority in the House. We totally agree with this. You shouldn't have monuments to terrorist organizations or some of the largest political grifts, fraudulent organizations in the country's history. But this is something very personal to me, Congressman, because I watched Rand Paul get assaulted in this plaza, and then they honored the group. I watched these people burn the church down.
Right.
They set St. John's on fire. They tried to kill Trump. They set White House buildings on fire, and then they honored these people by naming the plaza after them.
Yeah,
What an
it's the
affront.
it's the ultimate insult upon injury. And the legislation was written. It was sitting ready to be introduced. I would have been a co-sponsor of it. And thank goodness the mayor of D.C. and the leadership in D.C. saw the light before it happened and said, you know what, we're going to get ahead of this before you introduce the legislation and make us have to deal with it out in public and defend this lawlessness and this chaos. And like you said, one of the greatest political grifts in history, not to mention the danger that's associated with BLM. We're just going to take care of this ourselves, so there's nothing to see here. And look, if that's what it takes, okay, but we're not going to stop, and it's an indicator of what we can get done when we take a shot across the bow.
Yes, Congressman, can you explain maybe what did that legislation look like? What was going to happen?
My understanding is that if they didn't take that off and rename that Liberty Plaza, they were going to lose funding. That's the key to everything, because everybody, especially DC, lives on federal funding, right? And so they were going to lose a certain amount of funding if they didn't change it to Liberty Plaza. And I think that we would have had a good chance at seeing that bill pass very quickly. They didn't want to have the discussion. Understand, when a bill comes to the floor, there's going to be a debate. They were going to have to go out. The Democrats were going to have to go out and debate why that couldn't happen, why it had to remain Black Lives Matter Plaza, and why it's okay to assault United States senators, set things on fire, disrupt traffic. They were going to have to go out and defend that. They didn't want to do it. So they just said, look, we're going to take care of this ourselves.
Yeah, there were no charges. We played a clip. I'm sure you love Rand Paul. We love Rand Paul in the program. Like, the guy's a wonderful member of Congress, and he and his wife are getting physically assaulted. They're chucking batteries at him. Yeah. They're hitting the police officers, and nothing happened to these people. Yeah, I was there. I don't know if you were there, Congressman. I was right there, standing, filming. And I couldn't believe it. They let these people walk. And not only that, they honored them.
They honored them. Yeah, like I said, the ultimate insult upon injury. These people think that Washington, D.C. is their city. And while we appreciate that they live there, they can exercise their right to free speech and to protest their government. This is also America's capital. And Americans from around the country need to be able to come to their capital and feel safe and not have to worry that because they're not from the city and not on the right side of the city's political leanings, that they're going to be attacked and go home, in an ambulance instead of in an Uber. And I think that's the indication of what's occurring there.
So there's been a lot of critiques as to how BLM has spent the $100 million that was lavished upon them by Americans. There are a lot of rules as a nonprofit as to how you can and cannot spend money that you get tax-free as a donation. Right. Would you be in favor of an investigation into BLM?
Here's what I'm not in favor of. Why hasn't the investigation started 2 weeks ago, a month ago? Like, why aren't charges already forthcoming? Where are the indictments? Of course, this has been just wholesale theft. And not only do they not arrest the people on the streets that are throwing punches and batteries and assaulting people, they don't arrest the people they haven't arrested the people that orchestrated this whole wholesale theft and fraud on from the American people. There are a lot of fine, well-minded, high-minded charities out there that are trying to do the right thing, and this gives all of them a bad name, which is why there has to be accountability. There always has to be accountability so that people have trust in the system. But if you can get away with this, you can get away with anything.
Yeah, if you can get away with lining the pockets of your family members. If you go through, the 990s are public, so it was just family members directly connected to the founders. They got millions of dollars for security, having no backgrounds in security at all.
Right.
Mansions, purchases of multiple mansions in different states. I would love to see a full scale investigation. I mean, you run oversight. You're on oversight.
Right.
Would you push on oversight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thorough
Absolutely.
investigation
Now,
in this group?
we'll do but obviously we're working on different things with past administrations and the weaponization of government and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
We'll be able to refer charges. It'd be great if this came right from the DOJ, because they don't have to wait on referred charges. They don't have to wait on the politics. They don't have to wait 5 minutes of time between a Republican and a Democrat asking questions. They can go right to the facts and look at, like you said, the documentation and how the money was spent. Is this fraud or is it not? We're bringing charges. Like, this could happen pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'd love to see. We'd love to see something happen to the people who lit a church on fire, right?
Yeah,
Lit St. John's Church on fire, one of the most historic churches, arguably the most historic church in America, and wanted to burn it to the ground. So
yeah, they did want to burn it to the ground, and of course, the president was locked in a bunker in the basement of the Capitol of the White House. And but that had no overtones of an insurrection at all. That's just unhappy people exercising their First Amendment right.
Yes, that's right. All right. So final question here, Congressman.
Yeah.
This big bill's coming up, the big, beautiful bill. There's been, Thomas Massey says he's not going to vote for it. There's been consternation on one side and the other. Is this thing going to pass? And, what's your take on it?
Well, look, I don't love CRs. This will be the second one I've ever voted for, but there's a different context is important. So I certainly don't love CRs when Democrats are in charge and when Biden's in the White House. And I don't love them much more when Republicans are in charge of the legislature, don't get their work done, and then there's a Democrat in charge. The context is important. Here we have the opportunity to freeze spending for 6 months while DOJ and while the Office of Management and Budget continues to make cuts to things that we don't need to be spending money on and that we can't afford. And what it does, we don't want to stop the momentum of DOJ. We don't want to stop the momentum of management and budget or this president. And we certainly don't want Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Hakeem Jeffries to determine what we do policy-wise here. And what they're demanding is that we stop DOJ and that we rein in the president for their votes. That's what their votes would require. So it's going to take every single Republican. I'm on board of keeping the DOJ going, keeping the Office of Management and Budget from writing and signing and paying out stupid contractual agreements from the Biden administration. I'm in favor of actually getting us to the reconciliation budget. This is just a blip on the radar screen to continue to fund government for the next 6 months while we get to the real work, which is the reconciliation.
Yes. Okay. I mean, listen, I've heard both sides of the argument. Yeah. You don't want to throw sand into the gears of an administration that is moving at lightning speed right
That's
now.
Right.
One final real quick question about Director Borderzard Tom Homan saying he has run out of funding for deportations. Is that going to be part of this bill?
That is not, as far as I know, part of the CR. Something could end up there. Now, they can reprogram a little bit of money. This is why it's important to get to this big, beautiful bill. I was for the two-bill approach because we funded in the two-bill approach Thomas Homan and the Borderzard getting that work done. But that's not going to happen. We need, apparently that's not going to happen. So we need to get to the one big, beautiful bill very quickly. And we have a hurdle in front of us right now, which is this March funding deadline. So let's get past that so we can get the Homan the money he needs so he can continue the president's mission of cleaning up our country from all these people that came here illegally, many using the CBP One app. So we've got to get to that, and we've got to get to it quickly. We can't wait until midsummer or something like that. We need to be looking at that one bill as soon as the 14th is beyond us and get to passing that next.
Rings like a bell, ladies and gentlemen. You'll rarely hear a member of Congress that can actually go out and speak like this. You must follow the great Scott Perry. Follow him here on X. He's got 140,000 subs. Make sure that the people who are fighting for us have extra power, extra gunpowder. Get in there and follow the great Congressman. And Scott, thank you so much for being on the program, as always.
Well, it's awesome to be with you. Thank you. God bless you and your audience for being in the fight, being informed, and getting after saving our republic.